Hello, we are back again. I'm so excited tonight, yo. I'm so excited. I can't even hold myself back. Um, I came tonight to talk to you about the Ashanti tribe. Yes, the Ashanti tribe. I'm so excited, yo. Too excited. You probably don't even know how excited I am. There's a lot of stuff that I've learned recently that I want to share with you guys. And also, there's a lot of stuff that I already knew, but there's some things that I sort of kind of knew, but I really didn't know. And, there's just something I want to share with you guys. So, anyways, tonight we're going to be talking about the Ashanti tribe, and the Ashanti tribe is one of the 12 tribes that come from the Akan people of West Africa, which is a very, very large ethnic group. But the reason I'm talking about the Ashanti um, is because the Ashanti was the ones that were the most, I don't want to say the most prestige, but they had the most influence in the last 1,000 years from the Akan people. But I don't want to take away from the rest of the tribes under the Akan people. There's 12 tribes in the Akan, and I think I want to say there's 8 that are the major ones, and then there's 4 that are even sub tribes from the original 8, which equal 12, if that makes any sense. But yes, the major tribe or the people is called the Akan people, but the most influential tribe that I'm going to be talking about tonight is the Ashanti people. Now the Ashanti people, let's go back to the 900s and then 1000s and 1100s. The Ashanti people have been in West Africa, predominantly the Ghana area, for I would say I would say around 2,000 or so years. But as far as the Ashanti tribe developing, they've been in the Ghana area in West Africa for about, I would say, 1,000 or so years. And they were the most influential. If you look in the folklore, or I don't want to say folklore, or but the I'm sorry, I said the wrong thing. I was thinking ahead. That's how excited I am. But if you look at the history of the the Ashanti tribe says from their own history and from what they believe and what has been passed down is that they originally migrated from Sudan in East Africa, which I didn't know. I mean, not that I didn't think that people moved around and stuff in Africa and migrated, and nomads and people that develop farmland and agriculture and things like that. There's all kind of different people: doctors, lawyers. There was scientists and all kind of stuff. But the thing I didn't know is that I've always heard people from Ghana, and especially Ashanti tribe. I knew this girl one time that was from Ashanti tribe, and she said that they always talked about the people from the Akan people have migrated from East Africa and Central Africa to West Africa, and some say from Central Africa, and they went to East Africa for a while, and they went to West Africa, and some say they went some of them went straight from Central to West Africa, but the Ashanti tribe says straight from the mouth that they come from Sudan, and they had to cross the desert, thousands and thousands of years ago, and then they ended up in right when they were getting used to the desert, and they were losing a little bit of hope because I guess I don't know for sure. This is something I'm unsure, but I don't know if they came from part of Sudan that was a vegetational region, or they came from the desert in Sudan. I couldn't find anything on that, and I don't know if there's really sources about that or anything like that. But they definitely say that they come from Sudan, so they went across the Sahara Desert, which is very, very far away. I don't know for sure, but I would think that a lot of them probably would die if they did come from a vegetational area, unless they pre-planned really, really good. And I don't think anybody in the world, especially even in today's standards, could probably go across the Sahara Desert and maybe live to tell about it if they didn't know how to survive in the desert, if they came from a place that was a vegetational or around a big lake of water, ocean, which obviously vegetation would be there, if they could survive in the Sahara Desert. So they cross the Sahara Desert, and then they end up in the Ghana area, and right when I guess all everything seemed lost, they found the forest, the big lush forest of a lot of West African countries and Central African countries, and they migrated into Ghana. And also a lot of the folklore says, as well as that, is that some Ashantis believe that they actually came out of the grounds in Ghana, which is was the biggest Ashanti Kingdom, or part of the Akan people, which was the Ashanti Kingdom for 1,000 years, from like 900 to 18 something, or something of that sort. So yeah, they were definitely in the jungle, and some people believe that they in the Ashanti tribe that they came out of the jungle. They came out of the ground in the jungle from the dirt, and they arise the Ashanti, the great kingdom, one of the most famous kingdoms of West Africa. So that's the origins of the Ashanti, and Ashanti are throughout Central and West Africa, and they are very, very beautiful people. Now, the Ashanti were very, 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 very savvy. At first, they started off as a people that were hunting and gathering people. So they would go out and they would hunt, whatever live game was around that area. Whatever was in the jungle, whatever was outside of the jungle, in the plains and the mountains, they would hunt that, and then also they would gather fruits and vegetables rather than grow them. But they were one of the societies that actually eventually said, "Hey, this is not. This is like a life to life. I mean, sorry for what I'm saying, but a day-to-day experience, and we have to hunt every day. So why not knock down some of this forest and create agriculture, because it's such a great atmosphere to grow vegetables and fruits and all kind of things, and have animals, because they would have enough to eat and things of that nature." So they did that. Then the Ashanti rose to great power with the gold. That's why obviously West Africa is called the Gold Coast. But the Ashanti were finding gold in rocks in the forest, and they basically started to create tools that would extract the gold from the rock, which is just amazing to me. It's just amazing to me. I don't know if I could have done it. I mean, I probably could have, but there's some of the they would smolter down the gold from the rocks and divide the gold from the rocks, and actually have two resources, because some of the rocks were used for certain things. So that's sort of kind of how the Ashanti rose to power. They had ridiculous amounts of gold, especially royalty. I mean, ridiculous amounts of gold. And they also, I mean, it even tells of cases to where gold was just laying on the floor in the forest, in certain places around the forest. And they also had a kingdom that expanded and obviously conquered different ethnic groups and tribes, and they would use them as growing their empire and things of that nature. So even obviously some people that weren't originally Ashanti or Ashanti now, and or devoured other ethnic groups that were around there, because they just weren't as powerful. And then Ashanti became the Ashanti Kingdom, as most people know today. And if you don't know, obviously you just learned that. But the Ashanti Kingdom, where Ghana is currently in West Africa, is one of the most profound kingdoms that ever existed in that area, or at least as far as what anybody knows, in the last couple in the last couple thousand years, and even further than that. So the Ashanti were gold. They turned from actually a hunting and gathering group to a agricultural group that grew fruits and vegetables and things, and knocked down forests. And the next thing I want to talk about is how they knocked down forests. The forest that was very lush and big, and now they have machines. Obviously, you have bulldozers and things of that nature, where you can pull trees down. But in the ancient days, 1,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago, the king had many of people cut down the bottoms and the roots of the trees with axes that they made, and swords that they made, and they would cut down the trees, and they would clear the forest, and then they would start to bring in seeds and plants and create agriculture, and start to be a farming community that basically grows their own food, and they don't have to actually hunt, and they would always have fresh cattle, and just a very, very lush kingdom, especially for the time. The Ashanti tribe had over 70,000 troops. 70,000 troops. Can you believe that? 70,000 troops. That's a lot of troops, especially if you're looking at the time period. That is a lot of troops. So there was a lot of people that really didn't want to mess with the Ashanti. Ashanti was very predominant in West Africa. There was a couple other kingdoms, but they were very, very, very predominant for 500 to 700 years. I mean, a very long time. So that's how the Ashanti became power and became the rising kingdom as we know in Ashanti. Now, Ashanti has a tale of a king that started the Ashanti tribe or ethnic group, and his name is Ku something. I would have to get back to that, because a lot of this is coming off of memory, so it's hard to remember everything, but I'm trying to do the best I can. But he was a very, very famous king that started the Ashanti tribe, that led and became very, very powerful. His son reigned after that, and his son didn't really have the power that his dad had, but he had the sense, and he tried the best he could. But you know, in some cases, in the European cases of England taking over, it wasn't the strongest empire at the time when his son took over, like it was previously when his dad, when his dad was alive, because his dad basically, was fair trading with the Europeans, especially the British, and they were scared to invade them. They couldn't invade them. It was a lot of times and different events that happened of why even things happened the way they were, and the kingdom fell, and a lot of African kingdoms fell the way they did. But it was a combination of things. So, but they believe in him, and they believe in folklore, and their folklore was that there was a golden stool that the king that created Ashanti actually put his hand in the sky the day that he was victorious amongst a certain ethnic group, and he put his hand in the sky, and when he put his hand in the sky, a golden stool arrived in his hand, and the golden stool would give him spiritual powers, powers to read minds, powers to see into the future, into the past, things of that nature. So the golden stool was never taken. It was never captured by European countries. It's still in Ghana, in the Ashanti tribe. It's still there, as long as some other gold from that time period. And it was just amazing. I mean, I've learned so much about them, and I have a very, very good respect for them. I knew a lot about them, but I never knew enough about them. And I've gotten a lot of answers. So it's a very, 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 very strong people, very strong tradition. And also, they had drums, and the drums actually spoke in different languages. Now, this is starting to get crazy here, because when I learned this, I said, whoa, this is crazy. I knew it, but I didn't know it the way I know it now. So basically, there were drums that would obviously tell you from village to village, which is basically the telephones at the time, or cell phones, or Skype, or whatever you want to call it, instant messenger, to where they could play certain drum patterns, and the drum patterns would basically say, hey, this village of this kingdom, of this part of the kingdom, is in trouble, or this village is having a ceremony. So if you're invited, if you want, or these certain villages are invited to come, the king is coming your way, so you better be ready, you better be prepared, because he's coming for gifts and for accommodations and things like that, of that nature, and as well as just normal things every day. Like, for instance, in America, at least on Wednesdays, the sirens go off to where they use the tornado sirens to make sure they're working, testing. So there would be times to where they would just play drums to let people know that some person in the village was getting married, and to say exactly who the name was, and they could tell through the drums. Now, here's the crazy part. They could say your name and a message through the drums. They could say, hey, for instance, like, hey, Masade, Masade is going to get married today. This village is invited. I mean, that's crazy. I mean, through drum patterns, and people knew this. Like, it's so much more advanced than what they wanted to give credit for, especially in history. It's crazy. So they do that, and they also, the day that the kids are born, if they're born on Monday, they have certain names. So let's say, for instance, I could be a little wrong about this, but I'm pretty sure I'm right about this, but I could be a little wrong. But for instance, there's obviously names for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, right? Just like here, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So they would actually name their kids after the day that they were born, and they would be called like Monday, Akosawa, or Tuesday, Ohima, or Wednesday, Kale, or something like that, and it's just crazy that they had this such an advanced society that no one really gives credit for. Some scholars doing things like that, but especially us as black people around the world, we don't even know, and some do, but a lot of us should know more about this. And people in general, to say that this is a civilization that was one of the greatest civilizations to ever exist, and a lot of West African countries and ethnic groups took a lot of information from the Ashanti, which is part of the Akan people. And I'm not trying to say that they're better than anybody else, but there was a lot of things that I don't feel like they get credit for that, they deserve. And it was just a beautiful place. So anyways, to keep moving, the Ashanti also had cloths. royal cloths, Kente cloth, which I'm pretty sure a lot of African Americans know. If you're like me, if you go to a black college, you'll see this Kente cloth. And I don't know if you ever knew what Kente cloth was, which, to be honest with you, when I was a kid and my dad went to a all African American college, I never knew what this Kente cloth was. I knew it was an African cloth from West Africa. I knew that, but I never knew what it meant, and I never knew that royalty wore it, and just the Ashanti people wore it at one point. So this is my Kente cloth that I actually have. That I actually have a bigger piece of it that I was going to wrap my head with, but I want a different material of this Kente cloth, one that's a little bit softer to wrap my head with, and maybe I'm just doing it wrong, but I want to wrap it in the back of the bun. So where I wrap it in the bun, I feel like this is a little too thick, but I probably could do it if I had a big enough piece. So anyways, but this is a royalty cloth, or the Ashanti tribe cloth, which only the Ashanti wore, and this actually means more than what I thought. There's actually patterns in this that tells stories or sentences or languages. For instance, there's a Kente cloth that speaks of family. In the cloth, the symbols mean family, and the family's wearing them on a certain time. Like this cloth right here. Don't get mad at me. Anybody from Ghana, especially Ashanti tribe, I don't know exactly everything, and I'm not going to say because I can't say everything. But from what I've learned, I can at least say, let's see, where can I find something at? I would say, let's say for instance right here, right? So the green is for the prosperity of the land. Obviously, this is all something that's very universal amongst all African people around the world, African Americans, Jamaicans, Haitians. We have flags that mean something, that have colors, and I'm not saying every other country doesn't, but I'm just speaking on what I know as far as what it means. We have, these colors mean something. So this one is green, and this means fertility and grass in the land. That gold means for the gold and the richness of the Ashanti tribe, the gold, the ridiculous amounts of gold that they had. I mean, tons and tons and thousands of pounds of gold, even more than that probably. And black obviously is the skin tone of the people and the people around in the tribe and what it means to them. So I have this Kente cloth, and actually, I think I might wear it for the rest of the video just to show you. And it's funny that I actually had some, now that I know a little bit more. But I have this Kente cloth, so that was very interesting to me as well. And as far as the Ashanti tribe, the women are actually, they marry, but the marriage is not the major ceremony. Like in America, marriage is everything, and marriage is a major ceremony. In the Ashanti tribe, the major ceremony is when the woman goes to puberty. So the woman gets a ring, a necklace, something like that, made of gold for her puberty, for becoming from a young woman, actually a child to a adult, to a woman. And then the marriage follows after that, and the marriage ceremony is not even as big as the puberty ceremony. And as far as the men have obviously hierarchies just like any other culture, and the women do too. You obviously have the king and the chiefs and stuff at the top, then you work your way down from there. And it's a very respectable tribe, very, 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 very just beautiful culture, ancient culture. And the reason I'm talking about Ashanti as far as the Akan people, because Ashanti, out of all 12 of them, was one of the ethnic groups, tribes that was very, very, just influential to West Africa, especially. I'm pretty sure even if you didn't even know what this Kente cloth is, I'm pretty sure you can go in America somewhere in some store, regardless of what kind of store it is, and you could probably find Kente cloth in clothes that are sold in America that have been taken, the patterns from West Africa, and you see this on girls' leggings, especially you see a lot of African American girls wear these, Kente cloth of leggings. So just know that this comes from a ethnic group, tribe that was royalty, and just a kingdom that grew from ethnicity in the forest that came from a long ways away, and they rose to having a kingdom. And as far as what else they did influentially, they obviously, like I said, they had a lot of gold. They also had very, very, very good social skills, hierarchies, established order, and things of that nature where you can't disrespect people. And they were very, very advanced people. And as far as their diet, they would obviously eat everything that you could find in the jungle. I mean, eating very good cassava root, all kind of vegetables, all kind of fruits. Obviously, any kind of meats they had at the time, and they lived in the forest, so it was very, very plentiful because they would feed their cattle or their goats or whatever it was that they had there. Even accounts of the kingdom growing so big that they would bring in foreign exotic animals from around the world, and also from other parts of Africa that was exotic to West Africa. So the Ashanti was a very, very, very influential ethnicity and tribe, and I have enjoyed talking about them tonight. I was very excited. I just wanted to share some of this information with you, especially the golden stool, the folklore, and just the power of what the golden stool stood for, which is the spiritual power of the Ashanti king and the Ashanti people. And I hope you learned a lot from me. The Kente cloth obviously is going to stay with me. I wish I could give it to you, but you can find it online if you do want some Kente cloth. And I really enjoy it. I love the patterns. There's hundreds of patterns, and they're all beautiful. So you can definitely purchase those. But yeah, this is the end of the video. I hope you learned a lot about the Ashanti tribe, ethnic group. If you would like to hear something about a certain ethnic group as far as of African descent, and even other ethnic groups I will throw in here, but especially of African descent, let me know. Message me, email me, or write something down in the box, and I will definitely talk about it. And once again, as always, peace and love and blessings, and I hope you learned something tonight. And take care, be safe. Remember that you are more ancient than what they tell you, and you are more, you have worth, and your history is very rich. But unfortunately, the world we live in, especially in the Western world, you have to go back and get it. Sankofa. So if anybody knows what Sankofa means, it means that you have to go back and look into the past. So just say Sankofa. Sankofa means look into the past. Sankofa, Sankofa, Sankofa. So once again, Sankofa, brothers and sisters. And I hope you learned a lot from me, and take care. I'm out.